Hello and welcome to Charge On America, the show on all things EV. I am your host, Jason Bass, and this episode will feature where Metro Atlanta is with respect to EV infrastructure with Chris Campbell, a champion leader on the latest developments on the EV market, especially when it comes to infrastructure. But before we get started, here are a few quick notes. First, tax credits for installing charging stations will expire December 31st of this year, 2013. Remember, tax credits are a dollar for dollar reduction of what you owe in taxes. So if you owe $10,000 in taxes and have a $10,000 tax credit, then you owe zero to the government. With that said, I have some fantastic deals on residential and commercial chargers. Contact me by email. If you are in the Atlanta area or the state of Georgia for that matter, you may want to consider leasing a Nissan Leaf. The state is giving a $5,000 tax credit for leasing the Leaf or any other battery electric vehicle. If you'd like a Nissan Leaf specifically, however, contact me by email. With that said, let's welcome Chris on the line. Hello, Chris.
How are you doing, Jason?
We have some exciting news, Chris, on EV sales stats for the people. As of October 2013, plug-in sales reached approximately 150,000 units, right? This includes your plug-in hybrids, battery electrics, and extended range electric vehicles like the Chevy Volt. The Chevy Volt and the Nissan Leaf led sales with 18,782 units for the Volt and 18,000 for the Leaf. And Tesla was at about just under 15,000, which is pretty impressive. The Toyota Prius plug-in actually rounded out the segment. But this all brings us to infrastructure, right, Chris? So why don't you tell everybody where we were some years ago and where we are right now with respect to this charging stations.
So this is kind of my specialty, is keeping up with charging stations in Atlanta. So 3 years ago, when I started, when this kind of wave of EVs started, 2010, there was one station in town, one J1772 standard electric vehicle charging station, and it was in front of Georgia Power headquarters. Wow. A year later, there were about a dozen around town. Another year later, there may be 50 or so, and now we're up to about 200 charging stations all over town. And most people don't notice them. A lot of people know about the one at Atlantic Station in Midtown because it's prominent and it has a big sign and everything. But you'll see them in front of Kroger's, next to Walgreens, the backside of Lenox Mall. Mm-hmm. Most of them cost a little bit of money, maybe $1 an hour. There's a few of them that are actually free. And I love to highlight those because those are fantastic amenity and they're really trying to draw you to their business. Atlantic Station is free, as the most popular place in town. West Side Provisions, not far from Atlantic Station, on the west side off of Howell Mill. West Side Provisions, they have a free charger there. Emory Point is a station near Emory campus, of course, across the street from the CDC. There's like 9 restaurants in that complex, so it's a great place to go for a couple hours. So Emory Point is free. Gwinnett Arena is free. And the latest one is actually down in the government side of downtown, so where City Hall is and where the Capitol building is. There's a free charger by City Hall. So, you know, all of these are, this is really growing by leaps and bounds. Even if it's not a free charger, it's still, you know, maybe $1 an hour. And frankly, it's just not that much, doesn't cost that much money.
Well, let's talk about DC fast chargers. That's going to really change the market. Where are we with these chargers right now?
Yeah, so what I just talked about was all level 2 charging, which is pretty slow. DC fast charging is the next level up from that. It's much faster. You're talking about a 20-minute, 30-minute stop at a location where enough time to maybe get a cup of coffee or grab a sandwich or do a little bit of shopping, and then you're fully charged again. But there's a standards battle happening. Nissan was the first to market, so all the Nissan Leafs, or most Nissan Leafs, have an extra plug in the front that can charge up fast, and so that there's a standard for that DC fast charger. Tesla went off on their own path and has their own interface, and the Tesla superchargers are rolling out. And just last week, The two sites came online in North Carolina and Virginia. So now Atlanta area Model S owners can almost make it to the East Coast by superchargers. We're waiting for one more to come online between Atlanta and the Carolinas. And Nissan is really accelerating the rollout on their fast chargers. So you have these two standards, and they're incompatible. Tesla has come out with an adapter to work with the Nissan, so there's a little bit of compatibility there. And then there's the third entrant, which is the SAE, Society of Automotive Engineers, CCS or Combo, Combined Charging System standard. And this takes the level 2 plug that all cars have and makes a bigger plug out of it. And that is a DC fast charging standard. There are something like 3 of those stations on the planet right now, none in Atlanta. There's 2 cars that are coming to market, the Chevy Spark, which is a little, kind of a tiny electric car from GM. That's on the market, and that will have DC fast charging capability in about a month. The BMW i3 is about to come to market. That also has the SAE standard. Basically, all the American and German car makers signed up for this DC fast charging standard, whereas the Japanese went with the Nissan standard, and Tesla is doing their own thing. So we have these 3 different standards that are probably going to fight it out in the market over the next 12 to 18 months, and we'll see what happens.
You know, I think people will hear what you just said and ask, should I wait for the standard to be set before I buy or lease an EV?
Well, I want to make sure that people understand that what I just talked about, the standards battle, is this DC fast charging capability, which really is that would allow electric cars to make road trips, to go across the country, drive hundreds of miles in a day, just like you can with a gas car. For commuting, it doesn't matter. You use the level 2, the standard that was finalized in 2010. Every electric car in the market uses the same plug. They standardized that, so that's cool. It's the DC fast charging that's kind of the bleeding edge right now, and that's why I'm really interested in it, because it's kind of the next thing. The level 2 charging is a done deal. It's totally standardized. Those 200 charging stations I mentioned around town, every single one of those has that plug.
Chris, that's excellent information, but thank you so much for coming on. I want you to come back so we can chat some more about this up-and-coming automotive segment, but please let everybody know where your electronic home is.
Right. So I have a day job. This is kind of a hobby for me. Electrifyatlanta.com is my website. And basically, it's a place for me to keep a couple fact sheets. So there's a basic fact sheet there about EVs available. It's focused on Atlanta and Georgia because some cars aren't available here, some cars are. So I just talk about those. It has a map, a flyer showing where the charging stations are around Atlanta. It has a few resources there. So electrifyatlanta.com. Go there and check out the flyers.
Excellent, excellent. Thanks, Chris, again for coming on the show.
Jason.
And we will talk again soon. There you have it, folks. The EV infrastructure is building quickly in Georgia and around the nation. Chris will join us again for sure. These are some exciting times for the EV market. I encourage you, definitely come back to hear more as to developments and everything else. And until our next episode, charge on, America.